here today with Danny Walker, Warrington Wolves player, and we're here today just to obviously speak about the highs and lows of your career and how it started. So how did it start and what made you get into rugby?
So it was a weird one really. So my brothers have always been massive rugby players. They've always played it since they were kids. My dad was never really into rugby, he was always football. But then I ended up going down when I was about 4 to 5 and watching my brothers train. I just loved it, mate. Loved it. I loved getting involved with it. They're 5 years older than me. And I still got amongst it. Like, I loved it, you know what I mean? I loved getting in there and getting my head battered in. But now, yeah, that's where it really started. And then obviously I went through my own career and obviously going to a couple of different clubs and whatnot. But yeah, that's where it all began through my brothers really.
Yeah, so was it at Rylands where you first started?
Yeah, so they was at Woolston first and foremost.
Yeah.
But they didn't have an age group at my age at the time, so obviously like I said, I was under 4.
Yeah.
And then under 60s at Rylands set up. And I went down and at first I was a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I was a bit of a shy, not a shy kid, I weren't shy. I was always a confident kid, but I hated being like put into new it's like sort of
new environments.
New environments. I hated it, and I went down and at first I ran off crying after about 5 minutes. And I did that twice, turning up to my first 2 riding sessions, and my dad was sort of half giving up with it. But I always knew I wanted to do it, and then my cousin Lloyd, he went down. So I felt a little bit more comfortable then I knew someone down there. So I went down there with him, and then it kicked off from there. Yeah, that's under 6s.
Under 6, and what age was you there then till?
I was there up until under 13, the end of that season, just going into under 14, so what were we, 13, 14, something like that. And then we got relegated as a team, and I've just got picked up for England youth at the time, so you know, I didn't really want to be playing in the lower division. I wanted to be playing against the best. So that's when I become a
because I feel like rugby's obviously a little bit different to football, as in academies start at a proper young age within football, and then what is it in rugby when it normally starts?
So you'll go into scholarship at 14. You'll have scholarship which is 2 years. So up until you leave school sort of thing, and then when you leave school that's when you get your academies and you'll do 3 years or so there. But obviously if you do alright, you can be within the first team in 6-7 months, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So when you were at Rylands, what age was it sort of when the approach come to go more towards a Warrington or a Wiggness, or when did all that start getting involved?
Yeah, so that started pretty early on really, and I found it a bit strange, because they had Salford, Widnes, Warrington himself, and I was at Warrington at the time on this service area sort of programme, which weren't really as a scholarship. It was just once a week you'd go down and it'd be the vast majority of the kids would play rugby in Warrington, would be down there. So I was already at Warrington at the time, like I say, and I ended up going down to Widnes, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with Widnes, and I felt like I sort of become really close with the coach there, Phil Finner. He was the head of youth, and he was sort of like another dad for me. Like I say, I ended up becoming really close, and he was one of the main reasons why I wanted to go there, because I just felt so welcome, mate. You know, I felt wanted. Whereas when I went to Warrington at the time, I just felt like just another
bit of an out
kid.
Just another number.
Just another number that, you know, whereas at Widnes they made you feel special. And I wanted to be a part of that, so yeah, that's when I jumped over there. I was about 14 then. 14. First started that,
And would you have gone sort of through the academy levels, sort of 14 to 15? When does it go up to sort of first team?
Yeah, so it goes under 14. So your scholarship system, it's technically under 16s. So there's 2 years playing against each other. So there's always our school year and the year above. And I was always, you know me as a kid, I was only small. I was only skinny, still am now, but you know, I always loved it. I always loved the sort of the fight against the big uns. You know, I thrived on it, and playing it, they just chucked me straight in. As a 14-year-old kid weighing about 50 odd kilo, they chucked me in against some lads that was full-grown beards. 100 odd kilo, and I loved it. And that's again, I loved that feeling from them. You know what I mean?
And also, when you go in playing against people a lot older, you have to adapt quickly.
Yeah.
Or obviously, you sort of do get left behind, don't you? So it is something that you need to obviously adapt quick and get up to speed, don't you?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, and probably my first year there, I probably weren't up to scratch because obviously I was as the coach always said, I was always one of the youngest in the school year too. Some lads who were born in September, they've got 8 months on me, you know, in terms of growth and whatnot. And so I was basically one of the youngest playing. But yeah, so it took me a while. It did take me a while. But I actually got for England youth that year too, which I was really surprised with, and that sort of gave me a bit of a confidence boost too.
Was that Super League at the time, or was it the second division?
No, that was they was Super League club. Yeah, it was Widnes was a Super League club at the time. Yeah. Good.
So obviously, moving on through the ages, and then your approach comes to the first team. How did that come? Was you sort of just doing well in the academy, and then you managed to train with them and then got your first start, or did they obviously edge you in a little bit and then went from there?
Yeah, so I about 6 months after we left school, so in December, after we left school, I ended up playing for the first team against Warrington. It's only in a derby, it's called the Festive Derby, it was on Boxing Day, so didn't really get a Christmas light, but I loved it because I was a 16-year-old kid and playing against some of my idols, you know what I mean? So that was like my first sort of taste of it, and then I was 18th man, which is sort of like if anyone goes down in the 17-man squad, then I'd come in. I was that a fair few times that first year, so it was 2016 at Widnes, and then so like I say, I was around the first team squad a fair bit, loved it, really enjoyed it. And then 2017 was sort of my breakthrough year.
Because I always remember that game on the telly, and you were playing against Warrington, and you as you say, you still look small then. And as I say, I remember you doing that sort of like breakthrough where you sort of like ran. Did you score or nearly score?
No, I ended up passing it.
On, and I remember speaking to you after it, and you were saying obviously like how well it went, and also like that Warrington may be interested with how well you're playing.
Yeah. So before I went up to first team, so when my scholarship was going into academy, Warren tried to get me again, but it was the same sort of feeling as what I had when I was 14. So I was 16 at this point, just left school, and they wanted me to come over there, and you know I ended up having to sit down with Lee Bridge, who was one of my idols as a kid. He was at Warren at the time. He took me around the place and was telling me how much he'd want me to come and stuff, but so I did feel a little bit more like special at that time, but you know I was just so in love with.
Did you feel wanted as well?
Yeah, definitely, but I just didn't. I wanted to put my trust back into Widnes, and you know they put so much trust in me, so you know I wanted to stay there, but yeah, like I said, 2017 that game, I remember that one quite. You know,
it sticks in your mind.
Yeah, it sticks in my mind a fair bit because it was only my I think it's like my 5th game, something like that. And after my debut, I didn't think that I'd probably play again because I got knocked out on my debut. So, so I didn't think I'd play a first team game again after that. Some of the shit I ended up getting. But yeah.
Yeah, so then obviously moving on into that season, was you regularly playing and did you kick on from there then after that Warrington game?
Yeah, I think I played about 18 games that year.
Especially at a young age.
Yeah, I was still only 17 too, so it was tough on me, like, you know, physically, because I probably weren't physically ready. But I'm never going to say, you know, any young lad's never going to say no if they get the opportunity to play, so. You know, I loved it, and I wouldn't change anything. If I was to go back.
So how many years did you do then? Was it a couple of seasons at Widnes then?
Yeah. So I ended up doing another year, I think, after that. Or was it 2? Maybe another year. Yeah, another year it was because we just survived getting relegated that year, and then I stayed again the year after. But I've recently signed like a decent 4-year deal there, but then they got relegated in my 2nd year playing, so that sort of
fizzled.
Yeah.
How does that work with when?
So your contract was void if you get relegated. Your
Right,
contract
okay.
was void. So then I was able to speak to other clubs and go from there really. And then obviously Warren came knocking.
Was it just Warrington at the time, or was he?
There's a couple of different options. I could have gone to Australia, but I was young, mate. I was young.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was 18. I'm still living at home. I didn't feel ready. Even though now I probably look back and that's probably one of the only things that I wish I did. I wish I would have just took that leap. Yeah.
But I'd say you're still only young. You've still got many years. That could be an option, obviously, in the future.
Yeah, potentially.
Hopefully. So obviously you decided to go to Warrington, and obviously going in from I wouldn't say a smaller environment within Wigness, but obviously a Super League team, well known. How did you initially feel when you sort of went into there? Was it a bit like starstruck with the players that were there, or was it more of I feel like I'm ready for this challenge now?
Yeah, probably more of that. I felt ready. That was the right time. It was the third time Warren had come, and it was sort of third time lucky. I felt like if I didn't go then, it never might have happened, which is why I sort of didn't go down the Australian route. So I went in and I loved it. I loved it. My first pre-season was mint. It was really good. Load of good lads there. They made me feel dead welcome. They were tough on me. Because I was a bit gobby and whatnot. They were a bit tough on me, but that's what happens when you're a young kid.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You got a bit of a chip.
Bit of chip on your shoulder. Nothing changes there, mate.
No,
and obviously going into that season, was there anything ever said about if you were going to be playing a certain amount of minutes, or was it sort of come in, see what you can do, and then go from there?
It was with rugby, mate. I don't know what it's like in football, but you never really promised in terms of you're going to get X amount of minutes. I sort of knew my first year. Daz Clark was there at the time. He was the same position as me, and he was one of the, still is to now. Like, he's one of the best in the world in that position. So I sort of knew. I was hoping to get at least 10 games in. But I was frustrated my first year there, to be honest with you. My head weren't quite with it. I was enjoying it was my first real sort of decent contract money wise. And I was just enjoying it. I was enjoying life at that point. Everywhere I went in sort of Warrington, if I went out on a night out, you'd get recognised, and I was only young, so I loved it. You know what I mean? I worked quite at it in my own head, like mentally at that point. So my first year was tough, but after that it sort of
kicked on. Was any at the times when it was tough? Was there anyone sort of senior in the team that would put their arm around you and just say, "Listen, you're only young. You've got a big future ahead"?
Probably not really, mate. And that's not anyone else's fault. That's just my own fault. You know how men are. They don't like speaking. You know what I mean? And probably no one really noticed that in me. I probably didn't notice that I was different and nothing had changed. I was still being allowed to put myself and that. But in my own head, I never went right. I was going out all the time. On the booze all the time, I'm loving it, you know what I mean, like I say. So I worked there mentally, and that's why my performances weren't right in that first year. So I used to point the finger at everybody else and be like, it's because I'm not getting a chance this, but when I eventually started to have a look at myself in the mirror, I realised that it's me own doing.
Who was the manager at that time?
Steve Price, and I did get on with him. I got on really well. But like I say, I was finding it tough. I weren't getting picked, and like I say, I probably got involved with the wrong crowd a little bit. My mates were loving going out too, as they do, as 18, 19-year-olds do. You know what I mean? Still do it now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also with obviously your mates and things like that, it's like you just mentioned, you're going out, you're getting recognised, and your mates they like to be a part of it, don't they? And they're obviously with you, and you're going out and you're getting free stuff, and you're doing what obviously young lads want to do. So you can see where obviously mates come involved in that, and how they can get attached to it as well. And
to be fair, mate, with like my schoolmates, they've always been really good with it. It was more like I probably just being attracted to the wrong crowd because they've like sort of seen me as like Danny, this rugby player, and attached to me, and I thought, well, they're cool lads, like, you know what I mean, I'll cling on to them sort of thing, and it worked the right thing to do. Look back at it now, it worked the right thing to do. But my schoolmates were really good, they were really good with me, and you know how it is in fucking Warrington Town, especially, like, people are always looking for trouble, you know what I mean, and my mates were always brilliant with that sort of stuff. It's always been quite hot-headed, and you know, if anything was happening, it involved me, you know, I'd be wanting to get involved, but they'd fucking give me a backhand. And yeah.
But honestly, at a young age, you don't think about that, do you? You just out with your mates, obviously enjoying yourself. So obviously going into the initial season of you being there, was that the Challenge Cup season? Was it?
Yeah.
So how was that? And
fucking hell, mate! I look back on that. Fond memories, really good memories, but also really embarrassing ones because I was a mess on that day. I was steaming. We come back on the bus, you know, on the open top bus parade thing.
Yeah.
We started at the top of Manchester Road and we ended up finishing at the Golden Gates, and I've got up, mate, and my microphone, giving it, singing and that, and yeah, it weren't good luck. The ITV news, I'm fucking singing Shake It Up, Haver.
Yeah, but it's something that you'll look back to in years and you'll sit on and you think, how good was that? So, with obviously that, was you involved in the squad on the day, or was it?
No, so I'd done me syndesmosis in my ankle, my ligaments, about 3 weeks before that. And I was starting to get a little bit of game time at that point too, so I knew he was obviously going to Wembley, and I thought, you know what, I've probably got a bit of a chance here.
Yeah.
And they did give me a bit of a chance to play St Helens at home. I started the game, and Price, the coach, he basically said to me, I'll be doing the full game that game. And after about 15 minutes, I did my ligaments in my ankle, and that was sort of Wembley's sort of hopes over, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it was tough, that was tough for me too.
Leading into that season of obviously Wembley and things, how obviously after the season finishes and obviously you've had all the success of Wembley, what's the new season looking at? Was anything said by the manager about what he was looking for the next season or anything? Or?
Not really, mate, no. So we ended up that year, we had a really good team, and then we ended up getting knocked out the first round of the playoffs. And then obviously we had a bit of time off then. But I was straight in pretty much. I only had 3 weeks rest that year. They got me straight back in for pre-season. And then so you didn't really say much, they don't really say much, you know, they just expect you to work your bollocks off and then go from there sort of thing. I didn't really say much, pretty hard, it was pretty tough pre-season, and then the season got up and running again in Feb, I think it was, February. And I had a pretty good year to start the year that year. I think I started the first 3 games. We went to Portugal on a training camp, and had a decent training camp. And I spoke to one of the lads, Steph Ratford, who was obviously a pretty senior member there, and he was saying that got good chances there to be playing. I think Daz got injured too, which sort of helped me. And then a pretty good first 3 games, and then obviously, you know, lockdown hit us, didn't it?
So how did lockdown sort of work, and how did you manage to get around and also obviously keep fit?
So we was off for about 4 months because, like everyone, we didn't know how long we were going to be, you know, waiting about for. We literally got a text saying we'll be back in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks had gone by, not heard anything. 3 weeks had gone by, nothing, and you know, it just kept dragging on. So, to be honest with you, the first month I was fucking loving it. You know, the sun was out in it was gorgeous. Furlough hit, and you know, I don't mean to look at like as a joke in a way. Obviously, it was a sad situation with what happened. How many people obviously end up passing from it and stuff, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed a bit of time off. It was good for my body too, you know, because I've been getting my body battered from 16, 17 against men, and I probably weren't physically ready from 16, 17. So it was good for me to have a bit of time off, a bit of rest. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough in terms of getting back into it. I was lucky, I got a fair bit of gym equipment down at my mum's house at the time, so I was living at home. So I got a fair bit of gym equipment, I brought down, kept on top of myself.
Yeah.
Give me an hour a day.
When you're an hour a day.
That hour a day, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, leading in after COVID, did they just gradually build you back in? How long was it sort of till the season got going? Did they make
2 weeks.
literally 2 weeks? Yeah.
They give us 2 weeks because with rugby it's not like football, you know, we've not got unlimited money. So we did, Sky basically said we need you up and going in 2 weeks time. So we had to keep on top of ourselves like pretty for about a month before we went back in, but we didn't have a clue when we was going to go back in, so that was quite hard in terms of getting yourself motivated to go and do a run, go and do a session. But then yeah, 2 weeks in and we were straight back into it, straight back in, and that was about the August time. Then we had to try and fit about 20 odd games in 3 months, so that was tough, man.
Yeah.
That was tough on your body, yeah. That was difficult, that, man.
After the lockdown and the season progressing, was it just the sale of a season, or was there some sort of ups and downs to the season, or was it all goes kind of
It was
smoothly?
going well, yeah, it was going well. We got to the playoffs again, and we had that year we had a mega lead. So our hopes was up, and then I was a bit frustrated because obviously I felt like I was playing pretty well. I think we played 20 odd games that year, and then he didn't pick me for the playoff game, and I felt like he just didn't trust me when it come to the big game, so I was pretty pissed off. But yeah, but then obviously we went into the following year, and that was pretty similar. It was a good year again. Yeah, pretty similar turnaround to that year too.
Yeah. So when was it when sort of Price left, and then was it Powell coming after that?
Yeah, so it was the year after the COVID year when Price left. Look, I really got on with him, really got on with Price there. But yeah, it was just the way, like, you know, I just felt like he didn't trust me in the big games, which obviously I was gutted about and I was sad about it. I always seemed to miss the most important ones. Just sort of understood I was young and that, but I was ready, I felt ready, you know what I mean, mentally I felt ready. But yeah, and then Powley came in the year after that, that didn't quite go down that well, yeah.
Yeah. Like I say, there's always managers that you might not get on with, and there's managers that you might obviously will get on with, and obviously there's times of your career that you'll look back and you think, oh, that sort of didn't work out. But there's probably advice that he's given you that you have taken on with your career. You might not have seen eye to eye sometimes, but he trusted you obviously in some games, because obviously you was a part of the squad and he wasn't
definitely. I think that his first year there, that's when we sort of clashed heads a fair bit. You know, I felt like I probably deserved to get a bit more game time, and I weren't getting it. And you know, so yeah, we clashed heads. I thought that was probably going to be my time up at Warrington, to be honest with you, after that season. But then I come back. I went on holiday that off season, and then I just said to myself, just come back and just have a different mindset on it and just attack it and see where it takes me. And you know, it was a pretty successful second year for myself personally. As a team, it didn't finish how we wanted it to. We didn't have a mid-season how we wanted it to. We started the year off really well, but yeah, it was the second year under Powell. We got along really well. You know, we was really honest with each other all the time, and he was giving me game time, which is all I wanted. You know what I mean? All I wanted was game time to show what I can do. Yeah.
And then obviously leading into obviously this season, and obviously a new manager coming in, obviously a big name within rugby. When it initially came out to say that he was obviously going to be part of Warrington and be the manager, did obviously your eyes light up, and it was obviously a new challenge for yourself?
Yeah, I was buzzing, mate, because you know he's what he's like. Your Messi's, your Ronaldo's of our sport. He's always someone you used to watch as a kid on YouTube and stuff like that. So when he got announced he was coming in, and then when he first gave me a phone call, I was like, he's fucking mad, you know what I mean? But now Sammy's the man. He's the man. He's such a good person. as well as a coach. But, you know, just as a person first and foremost, if you that's half your job for me. I feel if you're a good manager and man manager, you get you're going to get the vast majority of the team on side just by just being a good man manager. And then we're all pretty decent rugby players.
Have you noticed a big difference since he's come in? As in, is the style of play changed, or is anything that's a lot different to what you had before? Or
probably just everything's just so much more intense. Like everything that we do, training, how he wants us to play in terms of, you know, our defence and stuff like that. Everything's just so much more intense, and you know, when like you said, when you've got someone like who I'm really close with like that, and it's similar to sort of my story when I was 14, when I first went to Widnes. You know, I feel wanted now at Warrington.
Yeah.
So it just gives you a sort of, I don't know, like a plain canvas, and you just go, just go and attack it. There's no sort of pressure on me, especially not from them anyway, from the coaches. Yeah.
So when you're going out there, do you know that you've got the support from him, as in he knows what you can do? There's not sort of like, for instance, the last couple of years when obviously Darryl Clark's been there, and obviously he's been starting more of the games and you've been coming on. Would you say that, like, now that you're sort of the main man in that role, you feel a bit more like you can relax, enjoy your rugby, and obviously go from there?
Yeah, because obviously I felt like every time we used to come on for 10-15 minutes, I felt like I needed to do something. And sometimes when you try too hard, you can make you look like a fucking dickhead. You know what I mean? Like I'm a fool. So I was probably doing that a fair bit. You know, I was coming on and just trying to impress, and I was probably working too hard. So whereas now I just feel like a bit more, definitely more relaxed. You know, as with Sam, I speak to him all the time, and you know, he backs me, trusts me. If I see something, to go for it, and you know, if it doesn't come off, then so be it. Like at least I've got a reasoning why I've gone for it. You know what I mean? As long as I've got reasoning to why I've done it. But no, he's like I say, he's the man. I'm loving it.
Yeah. What's sort of the ambitions for the rest of the season then? I don't mean just in Warrington, I mean obviously at England level as well. You know, obviously expecting to push on and cement your place in the England team as well.
Yeah. Obviously I got a taste of England last year, and you know, I loved it. And you know, we've got an England France game coming up in June. Nice shot. I'll take a shot. We've got France game coming up in June, so I wouldn't mind playing in that one. That'd be nice. But in terms of my own personal ambitions this year, definitely I want to cement a position in that England setup. As for Warrington, on a personal note, you know, I just want to do our best. I want to do the best we can possibly do, and with the team that we've got, with the coaching staff we've got.
You feel like you've got a good chance of doing that, yeah?
Yeah. Well, I don't like speaking the words. Like, I don't like saying it. Sometimes it's sort of like a duty. You know what everyone says. It's always your year and all that shite. So you know, it's one of them. We know in our four walls what we want out of the season, how we want it to look, and hopefully that happens come October.
So obviously, what advice would you give to young players out there that are coming through, obviously the academy ranks of a team, or even just local teams? And
you know what, mate? Like, one thing with me, I've always just wanted to win. So I can't say, like, you know, taking part matters and all that stuff, and you know, but it's probably a cliche, but just work 110%. Just give everything you can. You know, to go that extra mile, because that's what it takes. You know, it's not as tough as football to make it, because obviously it's a bigger pool in football. But you know, just give 110% and enjoy it along the way. You know, I have a little quote every morning on my alarm. You know, never settle for go for gold, never settle for silver. So that's just a little reminder that I have. So yeah.
I thought your quote was going to be like, don't oversleep, or wait Nola up in time. Or
I've done that a few times. Like.
So obviously we were talking before about obviously the stories that you can that you can tell us, but obviously people like to hear out of rugby? So is there any like sort of story that stuck in mind that obviously you love, you like to share to anyone?
The main one that comes to my head, it's with the rugby lads, like, where we going now, are they? Around there. Nah, yeah, it's with the rugby lads, like, it's called Mad Monday. We do it after every year. It's basically you just go nuts for 3-4 days, and we this was 2019, and we went to Benidorm, and I was in one of my mates' houses at like 3-4 in the morning. We're obviously all pretty pissed, and I booked the flights to Benidorm. There's like 16 of us in there. We're booking the flights to Benidorm, and I've got a better deal than everyone there and back. I've just got a better deal, flights.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm booking it for 3 of my mates, me, Harvey, and Deck, and I'm like, yeah, I've got it for 100 quid cheaper than everyone here. Anyway, we go on the trip, really good trip, 3 days in Benidorm. Coming home, scan my boarding pass, won't let me through. My mates scanned their boarding pass, weren't letting them through. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? We're obviously rough as anything. Everyone else had gone through. We're there, still stuck there, and looked on boarding pass. It was the exact same day, so it was like the 25th. It was just the wrong month. It was the exact same time, flight and everything. So, stinker, mate, stinker. It cost me a fucking fortune
to get it sorted again.
Yeah, because obviously they'd obviously paid for theirs, but I was the one that made the mistake. But I blame them. I was a kid and I'm booking.
Yeah, exactly.
Flights,
yeah,
you know
they're a bit older. They should be sorting you out.
So, but yeah, that's me. My biggest stinker.
Yeah, so obviously you've probably been asked this question, obviously, a million of times. But if you want a rugby player, what do you reckon you would have gone into? Or, I mean, I want a sensible answer.
Yeah. I'm not saying the one that we said off camera, like, but but nah, I don't know, mate. Because I was never interested in anything else. Like, all I wanted to do was be a rugby player. So when I get asked this, I don't really know what to say. I don't know, mate. I'd say no, I wouldn't say that. PE teacher, maybe. PE teacher.
Something involved in sport.
Yeah. Looking at it now, I'd probably do like after rugby, maybe look into doing something like that. So yeah, maybe see myself doing it. Maybe I've done that route.
Obviously, my first one, and obviously it's good for people to hear the ins and outs of obviously a sporting athlete, and obviously they don't see what happens behind the scenes, and obviously it's been good for you to explain today and obviously give insight of how things work. So I'd like to say obviously a big thanks to Design Works and Kelly at Castle Windows for sponsoring today's podcast. Thank you.